All right, Shalom. Let's check the feed real quick. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay, we should be good. Salakia. Okay, we should be good. All right, here we go. Hey, Shalom. Shalom. Before I get started, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rekak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the great millstone who taught this truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. Back with another quick lesson. Just a quick hit the button. Just thinking out loud, hit the button. Be circumspect on this so-called alien disclosure distraction. All right. So I did a lesson going into this topic a couple weeks ago. And as you see on the screen here, because you got this guy, what's his name? Steven Spielberg, which we'll pull that up in a second here. But, they put this on, the government put this on their website a couple of days ago. Was it May 28, 2026, 34.6 million views, right? So Esau, we've been warning you about that. He's getting ready to come with some bullshit, man. Right. So this is on the White House website. They posted this on X. All right. So they're getting ready to present some madness, man. So this article here, let's go into it. It caught my attention. And this will be real quick. I just wanted to just post something real quick because I've been kind of busy handling things. All right. And I just wanted to get this out here real quick. Right. And Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. But again, hit the button. All right. Just be circumspect on this information that they're putting out on this so-called alien disclosure. It's a lot of madness, man. All right. But they're getting ready to, try to shake the belief, of people that believe in the scriptures, the Bible, as we're going to read on here. Right. This article here, Christian, what's this from? Christian Post. It says Steven Spielberg says new disclosure day film will raise theological questions, right? So when I saw that, antennas went up, so they're going to try to shake you from your faith out of the Bible. That's the main thing, because we live in a heavy time of a lot of spiritual things are taking place. All right. And we know that Yahweh Shemel Shai is visiting the world which he made. Right. So there's a lot of things that are happening with the so-called UFOs, all right, which are the chariots of Yahweh Shemel Shai, things that are going on in the heavens that can't be explained. All right. The footage that's all over the internet, whether it may be AI, some of it may be real. All right. But Esau is pushing a lot of confusion out there. All right. So people don't know what to believe. Right. But again, it says Steven Spielberg says new disclosure day film will raise theological questions. Right. Let me go down here, and I got a couple clips I want to just highlight. It says director Steven Spielberg suggested during a Sunday interview that his new film about extraterrestrials might raise theological questions among some Christians regarding the nature of the cosmos. So this is what they're getting ready to do. Okay. As you saw on the website, on the White House website, they posted on X saying that aliens are among us. All right. So they're coming with it, man. Right. Let's see if I can get a quick summary. Okay. Yeah, I remember that exactly. And that this conversation has popped back up on the internet as well about what happened down in was it Miami? About 9 feet tall aliens that just came out of a portal. People were running. They had the police. It was a big thing when it happened, right? Real quick, let me go to the summary. I have the summary pulled on another tab. I just want to read through it and we get to the clips. All right. So the same article here, Steven Spielberg says Disclosure Day film will raise theological questions. Just reading the summary here. It says overview of Disclosure Day. Movie premise: Steven Spielberg's upcoming film follows a meteorologist and a cybersecurity expert who expose a government cover-up of extraterrestrial secrets dating back to 1947. Theological themes. Spielberg stated that the film explores the ontological shock of alien disclosure and raises questions about whether God's domain is limited to Earth or extends to all intelligent life in the cosmos, right? So they're really running with that narrative, all right, that there's intelligent life and we're not alone, right? Things that they've been pushing for the last 60 to 80 years, right? It says Catholic perspective. The movie features a former Roman Catholic nun and specifically addresses the hypothetical position of the Catholic Church regarding extraterrestrials, right? Let's see what else we got. At the bottom here it says the ongoing spiritual debate surrounding UFOs, right? So this is what it's all about, man. All right, we live in a time where the Lord, again, Yahweh Shemir Shai is beginning to visit the world which he made, man. Okay, we're in the time of the truth springing up. This word has been magnified. Okay, people are aware of what the world ignorantly calls UFOs, UAPs, which are the chairs of the Most High. Things are being seen that they can't explain. You see what I'm saying? So Esau has to have, he's coming up with a way, you know, to offset what's really going on according to prophecy, right? It says the ongoing spiritual debate surrounding UFOs. It says, number one, demonic associations, right? Excuse me. Demonic associations. The film's release coincides with heightened debates among Christians who link UFOs to demonic or occult activity, right? It says clergy discipline. Recently, Cardinal Robert McElroy removed Miss Monsignor Stephen J. Rossetti from his role as an exorcist after Rossetti publicly claimed that most UFO sightings are actually demons, right? Last 2 points, and we'll move on here. Or last 3 points. It says occult connections. Historically, occultists have tied the surge in 1947 UFO sightings to rituals conducted by NASA engineer Jack Parsons and Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard. Government and church intersection. Last month, a group of charismatic pastors controversially claimed U.S. officials urged them to prepare their congregations for the theological impact of UFO disclosure, a claim disputed by Representative Eric Burleson. Last point, Pentagon actions. On May 8th, 2026, the Pentagon released a new batch of files related to unidentified anomalous phenomenon, UAPs, for the public to review. All right, so they're throwing everything out there. Let me get something real quick and we'll move on. Okay, they're throwing a lot of shit out here, man. All right, let's go here. Okay, they said the blue letter was down. I couldn't pull up the blue letter Bible from this search app thing, so I'm just gonna go to this one. But let's go to Ephesians 5, right? As we're talking about be circumspect, man. Okay, so this is Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5 and 15. It says, see then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil, right? So it's a lot of shit that's going on that's going to get people distracted, that's going to try to, throw you off from your faith, okay? Because Esau's getting ready to pull all the bullshit out the hat, Okay. You know, we're not ignorant of Satan's devices, the scriptures say. Right. So Esau, again, he's going to come with it. So let's get into it here. Right. Matter of fact, before we get into it, let's get that in let's also get that in Sirach. Hold on. Let's get that in Sirach 36 as well. Excuse me. Sirach 36 and 1. All right. Sirach 36 and 1, or Ecclesiastes chapter 36, verse 1. And it reads, it says, have mercy upon us all, O Lord, power of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. All right. It says, lift up thy hand against the strange nations and let them see thy power. And that's happening now, man. Okay. Things are going on that Esau can't explain. He doesn't have a theory to put on it. You know, he doesn't have an explanation. Right? Matter of fact, I'm thinking out loud. Let me get that in Isaiah 31. Certain scriptures come to mind. Real quick, let me get that Isaiah 31. Not to be all over the place, bear with me. Right? Isaiah 31. Real quick, and we'll go back to that. Isaiah 31 and in verse 3, and it reads, it says, now the Egyptians are men and not the Most High, right? And now the Egyptians are men and not the Most High, and their horses flesh and not spirit. See, they can't compete with the power, man. Okay, their horses are flesh. You know, his tanks, his planes. You know, his so-called technology. It can't compete with the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. You know. It says, when the Lord shall stretch out his hand, when the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that hopeth shall fall down, and they shall all fail together. The point, verse 4, for thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of the voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua of hosts, come down to fight for Zion. All right. And the Lord is coming down to fight for his people, starting with the elect. Okay. Spiritual things are happening all over the world. So the Lord of hosts shall come down to fight for Mount Zion and for the hill thereof. As birds flying, so will the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua of hosts, defend Jerusalem. All right. This is talking about the angels, man. The chariots. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it. You see, because are we not in the time of salvation and destruction? Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. See, so we're in some heavy times, man. All right, let me go back, and we'll get into the videos here. But this is excuse me, Sirach 36 and 1. Again, have mercy upon us, O Lord, power of all, and behold us, and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations, and let them see thy power. Right? As thou wast sanctified in us before them, so be thou magnified among them before us. All right? And we're in the time where the Lord is going to magnify his power for the world to be seen. Right? Verse 5. And let them know thee, as we have known thee, that there is no power, but only thou, O power. See? It says, show new signs and make other strange wonders, right? Things that can't be explained. Right? Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy, right? Take the time short, remember the covenant, and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let him that escapeth be consumed by the rage of the fire, and let them perish that oppress the people, man. So let's get into it, right? Here we go. This came out yesterday or a day ago. Again, Steven Spielberg talks Disclosure Day and says aliens have been here and they are here, right?
Oscar-winning director Steven Spielberg has made his 34th feature film, Disclosure Day. It opens on Friday, and he talked about it with Ben Mankiewicz for CBS Sunday Morning. Disclosure Day explores what would happen if all the evidence about UFOs and alien life was released to the entire world, and it proved we are not alone. Here's part of their conversation that didn't air on Sunday morning.
Think about this. When the great unknown is actually known by some, but not known by all of us, it's that inequity that got me to write the story for Disclosure Day.
I sense a different degree of passion about this. Like, you're very pleased with how this came out.
Yeah, I am. I mean, the movie for me is a summation of my life in science fiction, which has started when I was 17 years old.
Disclosure Day is part chase flick, part 70s thriller, and part big tech conspiracy, all colliding to make it a sci-fi story for a cynical modern audience. You're credited story by Steven Spielberg, screenplay by David Koepp. So this story is yours. You wrote it, and where'd you write it?
I just wrote it the summer of 2023. I just sat down and spent 2 months writing. I wrote a 50, 60-page single-space story.
But literally, where did you write it? Like, on what manner did you write this?
On my iPad.
Right? In the little notes section of your iPad.
Well, you know, everybody has it, right? We have a notes section. Yeah. That's where I wrote it. And then I printed it out and would read it and then go back to my iPad again.
It's pretty great.
Thank you, Steve Jobs.
The cast is led by Emily Blunt.
Good morning, Kansas City. Let's take a look at today.
Playing a meteorologist who inherits sudden gifts that she does not understand.
I think it's a two-hander, but I also think it's an ensemble movie. I think it's very well balanced between Coleman Domingo's character, Colin Firth, and Josh, and Emily and Eve Hewson, and then Wyatt Russell's terrific and really funny.
Yeah, I laughed a lot. Like, this is funny.
Yeah, well, you know, life is funny sometimes, and especially when you paint yourself into a corner. You need laughs because of the tension. You got to give the audience a chance to not stress themselves into a nervous breakdown while they're watching any film.
Spielberg calls Disclosure Day a bookend to his 1977 blockbuster, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But the universal curiosity he expresses in both movies dates all the way back to a starry night, roughly 70 years ago.
I was about 5 or 6 years old. I was living in New Jersey. And when your father comes in the bedroom and wakes you up from a sound sleep and puts you in a car, and I kept saying, "Dad, what is it? What is it?" He said, "It's a surprise." And he stopped at a big park, and it was the Perseus meteor shower. And that was the beginning of my love affair with the sky. I remember how shocked I was, but I also remember seeing these points of light darting across the sky, you know, and I just remember.
Yeah, that's a good point too. You know, that the whole Project Bluebeam thing, man. All right. So like I said, Esau's getting ready to pull all the bullshit out of the hat to distract the masses, man, to deceive the people, because really the return of the Lord is being presented as a demonic invasion. You know, they want the world to really believe that it's going to be, you know, is grays and shit, you know, that's operating these craft, you know. So they're trying to, you know, like I said, they're trying to offset the prophecy of the return of the Lord. I want to make a point real quick, right? Because they know that the Lord and the angels are here, right? This is Isaiah 19. And just make a point. We'll finish that out. Just thinking out loud. Isaiah 19, right? It's Isaiah 19:1, and it reads, it says, the burden of Egypt, all right? And we're in spiritual Egypt, America, right? The burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai rideth upon a swift cloud, all right? That's the fathership, all right? The chariot. Behold, the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. And the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it, man. So when the Lord returns, all right, the whole earth is going to see it. All right. and they're gonna know, and they're gonna know that that's the that's the Lord, that's Yahweh Shemir Washai, man. Okay, and we've done videos for years of these different accounts that have been brought out by people in the government and NASA of how they spotted chariots twice the size of the earth. All right, you had the different accounts from the people who had high clearance, the pilots and stuff like that talked about how they engaged these UAP UFOs that can move faster than the speed of sound. All right, that can change trajectory, you know, at an instant. You know, see, Esau doesn't have craft that can do that. You know, testimonies of them so-called, you know, chasing the UFOs, and then the UFOs just immediately goes into the ocean to disappear, reappear, you know, different things like that. So Esau, he doesn't have a chance, right? But all these things that we're talking about that's getting ready to happen, that's been happening, are going to be demonized as aliens and demons and grays and all this other shit that they're about to, pull out to the public, man. Okay, to offset the return of the Lord. See that? Psalm 68, right? Psalm 68 and 17, right? Psalm 68 and 17, and it reads, it says, the chariots of Yahweh Shemir Washai are 20,000, even thousands of angels. And the Lord, it says, the Lord is among them as in Sinai in the holy place, right? There you go. Let's finish that out.
I remember thinking that was one of the most extraordinary things I had ever seen.
He's been exploring the extraordinary ever since.
Do you think that there are aliens here? And do you think they might still be here?
Based on the circumstantial evidence of everything that I've gathered throughout my whole life and all the testimonies in Congress that I've heard, I absolutely think that they have been here and they are here. And who knows, maybe they've always been here.
Have you ever had any sort of paranormal event in your life? Nothing?
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
I deserve that. I deserve a sighting. Man, I need a sighting. I mean, I'm an ambassador for these guys, and they haven't shown themselves to me. I don't get that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, they're listening now, so maybe they'll.
I hope so.
Well,
Be careful what you ask for, Steven Spielberg. They're going to be knocking at your door. I love everything he does.
Yes.
He is such a class act and so good at what he does.
All right, bear with me. Hold on. What the hell's going on?
Where should you invest $100?
All right, bear with me. It's got a little lag here. Hold on 1 second. All right. All right, we should be good now. Yeah. So like they were saying in the video, you know, be careful what you ask for, man. All right. But the bottom line is this, is that the powers that be, all right, the people who run the world, all right, they all know what's getting ready to happen. All right. They all see what's going on. Right. Let's get this real fast too. In Jeremiah, the 4th chapter. Because Esau, he knows that that's his ass, man. Okay. We're in the midst of an angelic visitation that's happening right now. Right. But it's being pushed as demons and aliens and grays and, you know, the Anunnaki and shit like that, man. That's why I say you can't get caught up in that, because like we saw in the title again, what did it talk about? It said that the this disclosure day film will raise theological questions, right? So they're going to try to overthrow your faith, right? Jeremiah 4 and 13. And it reads, it says, behold, he shall come as clouds. Behold, he shall come as clouds, and his chariot should be as a whirlwind. All right, because hey, when it's time, hey, the Lord is going to allow the angels to unleash destruction, man. Okay. Hence, Independence Day, War of the Worlds, right? And other films of a so-called alien invasion. Okay, it's all prophecy. And his chariot should be as a whirlwind, and it says his horses are swifter than eagles. Woe unto us, for we are spoiled. And they know that, man. These devils know they're finished, right? Hence the testimonies of let me see if I can pull it up real quick. So like I said, I brought it out before. Let me see if I can find it. Bear with me. About the UFOs at the nuclear sites, at nuclear bases. Let me pull that out real quick. Right. Oh, check that out. That's kind of dope. The AI gave me a little summary. Let me pull it up here. Right. Because we're not making shit up here. Right. So I typed in UFO sightings at nuclear bases, right? So it says UFO or unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP sightings at nuclear bases are heavily documented with declassified government files and firsthand military testimonies revealing a decades-long pattern of unknown craft hovering over highly secure nuclear sites, weapons silos, in atomic laboratories, right? And see, in these testimonies that were brought out by American soldiers and in the Russian military, they both said the same thing: that you had the chariots hover over their nuclear sites, turn on the UFO, turn on the nuclear weapons and turn them off. Right? It was a video that was back in the day. I forgot, it was like the 70s or something. I don't know how long it was ago. But it had a UFO, the chariot that deactivated a rocket in the sky, right? That footage went viral. That's online, man, right? But both the American military and the Russian military have been saying the same thing. You see, right here says high-profile incidents. Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana, in 1967. Multiple guards reported glowing, pulsating red objects hovering near front gates. Simultaneously, launch control officers experienced massive system failures, leaving 10 nuclear missiles inoperable. See, so they have the power to cut on the nuclear sites and to turn them off, which shows you that the Lord is in control, man. Okay. That's why I want to, I'm just thinking out loud. Joel, right? Joel, the second chapter, right? The Lord's Spirit is going to be on the missiles when they get shot, man. He's in full control. The scriptures talk about how those missiles represent the Lord's camp. It says his army is very great. Matter of fact, let me get that. Let me stop talking. Let me just get it real quick. All right, bear with me. All right, just thinking out loud. Like I said, just hit the button on the go, right? And we'll come back to that read there. But this is Joel, the second chapter, and verse 9. The point is in 11. All right, but this is talking about the nuclear missiles. All right, this is Joel 2 and 9. It says, they shall run to and fro in the city. They shall run upon the wall, and they shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in at the windows like a thief. Excuse me. The earth shall quake before them. The heavens shall tremble. The sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. The point, verse 11. And the Lord Yahweh Shai shall utter his voice before his army. See? So those missiles are likened unto the Lord's army. It says, for his camp is very great, right? For he is strong that executed his word. For the day of the Lord power, Yahweh Shai, is great and very terrible. And who can abide in it? You see what I'm saying? So the Lord's presence, the Lord's spirit is going to be on those missiles when they get shot. Right? So let's go back to that read. Just showing you, just making a point that the Lord is in control of everything, man. Right? So let's go back. Okay. Another one of the high-profile incidents, it says Minot Air Force Base, North Dakota, 1966. It says a similar event occurred where personnel observed strange glowing lights over the base in missile silos. Facility, Texas, recent unsealed files detail multiple instances of anomalous craft operating in the restricted airspace above America's primary nuclear weapon assembly and dismantlement plant, right? It says potential explanations and theories, extraterrestrial surveillance, UFO researchers, and veteran military personnel suggest that advanced non-human intelligence may be monitoring human nuclear capabilities, perhaps acting as a deterrent to nuclear warfare. Yeah, like I said, the Lord is in control, right? It says, right, we got to read the rest of that. I'm gonna click on this. I want to click on this first one here, see what we get. Bear with me. Let's see what we got. God damn, this shit moving slow as hell. Bear with me, man. God damn. All right, let's see. Is it going to pull up? It's about. All right, let's play a few minutes of this, and then we'll see what we're getting, and we'll get back to the point. All right, this is from National Geographic. Let me see. Come on, man. Share the goddamn tab, man. Okay. 2 years ago, 2.2 million views, UFO sightings at nuclear bases, UFOs investigating the unknown. Let's see what we get. Let's play a few minutes of that.
One of these three men is an expert on unidentified flying objects. What is your name, please?
My name is J. Allen Hynek. My name is J. Allen Hynek. My name is J. Allen Hynek.
J. Allen Hynek came into the UFO field with the typical scientific attitude, which is they shouldn't be studied. There's nothing to them.
Ultimately, that changed, and that's sort of the core of the J. Allen Hynek story.
I, J. Allen Hynek, am a consultant to the United States Air Force on unidentified flying objects.
Like so many other key figures of that era, Hynek had to push against the government that he once worked for and stand up for the truth.
I am also professor of astronomy and director of a large university observatory.
Hynek believed that science was the tool. Science could get us to an understanding of what UFOs are. And that's what he advocated for.
There are a lot of people who don't always understand his rationale for the things he did or the things he said. But Hynek's impact today, I think, is immeasurable.
Only one of these men is the real J. Allen Hynek. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. On to tell the truth.
We get reports every night.
I don't know what the hell it is. It looks like a rotating light around it.
I'd like to report a UFO.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it.
Let's let that pass. All right, let's see what else we got from here.
The U.S. government closed its formal study of UFOs, Project Blue Book, in late 1969. And the government as a whole says we're not interested in UFO reports.
The Air Force made the decision, let's get out of this business of investigating UFOs. Our business is national security. We've seen no threat. Let's stop Project Blue Book.
J. Allen Hynek, who was the scientist who worked for Project Blue Book for almost 20 years, actually came through that with the opposite perspective, which was that UFOs were something serious and they should be investigated.
In my association with Project Blue Book, I know very well that it was not a scientific project. I also know that they never would notify the media when an interesting case came up. They did everything.
There are a lot of people who...
Yeah, so yeah, you can watch that on your own time, man. But you get what I'm saying, right? Okay, they've been investigating the chariots for years. All right, they've been preparing for this time for years, right? Real fast, Isaiah 66, right? Because I got to get back to what I was doing. So we're gonna go ahead and close this out soon. Isaiah 66 and verse 15. And it reads, it says, "For behold, the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shai, will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shai, plead with all flesh. And the slain of the Lord, Yahweh Shemir Shai, shall be many." All right, they know what's going to happen, man. They know that the so-called UFOs, UAPs, are a serious threat to his empire, man. You see, but they're planning on throwing the public off with this whole, bullshit alien, Anunnaki disclosure madness, man. You see? Let's play this last clip here, right? And then we'll get a couple more scriptures to wrap it up. Again, this is from a day ago. Alien expert on Earth visits. If something is here, it's likely been here for a long time.
Let's talk about Steven Spielberg's newest film. It's called Disclosure Day. It comes out on Friday. It centers on a government's cover-up of extraterrestrial intelligence and the race to broadcast the truth of their existence. Here's a clip.
What did you steal?
Secrets. The data they paid me to protect.
Are they people?
No.
All right, joining us this morning is Gary Nolan. He's a professor of pathology.
Yes.
Okay, very interesting, at Stanford University School of Medicine, and the executive director of the board for the Soul Foundation, which brings together experts on unidentified anomalous, did I say that right?
I think so.
Anomalous phenomena, or UAPs.
UAPs.
Clearly, Professor, I graduated from college in the 90s when all I cared about was surfing and extracurricular activities. But so let's talk about this. You've said it was one of Spielberg's other famous films that inspired you to go down this career path. Tell us about that.
Well, literally one of the first ones that got me going was Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It captured, I think, for the public, at least at that time, the zeitgeist of what people thought UAP were, or UFOs called at the time, and what individuals who might have come into interactions with so-called abductions or things like that. Interestingly, in that film is a French scientist played by, I think, Claude Lacombe. Sorry, the name of it was Claude Lacombe, played by Francois Truffaut.
Yeah.
Who's actually styled against a personal friend of mine, Jacques Vallée, who had been involved in this for 40, 50 or more years. And what I think in the new film Spielberg approaches in a wholly different way is a much more modern and up-to-date and probably more informed by data and things that people had been coming out and saying about what actually might be happening and what the phenomena might allegedly, and I'm being very careful here, what it might allegedly represent, because it's very hard to encapsulate within a complex film something which seems to be many different things all at the same time.
Yeah. So here we go. So, hey, Thwada Priest, I'll play that. I just want to make that point about the sightings on the bases, right? So if the Waterford sending me them clips, right? Let me pull that up. This is what I really wanted right here.
These craft could do things that the Russians could not. One of the incidents was an ICBM base in the Ukraine. Colonel Sokolov says that a giant UFO appeared over this base. These are missiles that are trained to go to New York and Los Angeles. They're very serious stuff there. It's a very secure facility. Giant UFO appears over this base. It splits into pieces, and then it melds back apart, and it performs this dazzling display for a couple of hours. The base is on high alert, and all of a sudden the nuclear control facilities lights up like a Christmas tree, and whatever this thing was, it entered the launch control codes. The missiles were enabled, they start firing up, they're ready to go, and then poof, UFO goes away, the whole thing shuts down, it goes back to normal. Colonel Sokolov said he and his team sent there to investigate it. They took the machines apart, could not figure out what it had done, and he told me on camera, we think that they were sending us a message that these are your most powerful weapons, but we're not impressed. Same kind of thing happened here.
Man, see? And I remember, I had used this clip a while back, but yeah, this is fire. Okay? Esau knows what time it is, man. This is the point I'm making. This is why you got to be circumspect with this alien, gray aliens and UFO disclosure bullshit, because the Lord, the presence of the Lord is here. Let me get something real quick. And we'll wrap this up in a minute, man. Salaki if I'm all over the place. Psalm 103. Because the angels of Yahweh Shem Yahushai are in complete order, man. Hearkening to the voice of his word, as it says, right? Psalm 103 in verse 19. And it says, the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, had prepared his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom ruleth over all. Here we go. Let me read it again. Psalm 103, verse 19. It says, the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, had prepared his throne in the heavens, and his kingdom ruleth over all. Verse 20, the point. It says, bless the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, ye his angels that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. You see that? So, hey, angels are here, ready to make that move, So this is a very heavy time we live in, man. All right, the salvation and destruction, So that's pretty much it, man. I'll just leave it there. Like I said, I got to make this move, but you get the point that I'm saying. All right, these cases have been heavily documented. They know what these are. Right, but they're preparing to present this as something else than what it actually is the point. So they wouldn't have all this stuff like we showed in the beginning. They wouldn't have this on the White House website for no reasons. Aliens.gov. All right, what the hell are these devils planning to do? You should be asking yourself that question. All right, especially when they're talking about, that's going to raise theological questions and it's going to question people's faith and what's really out there in the cosmos, and is there a God and all of that shit, he's getting ready to come with it. You see? So we'll leave it there, man. I pray that this quick lesson was edifying, man. But hey, it's about to get real heavy out here, man. So we'll wrap this up. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham Rakakwadash, and Shalom to the next one. Shalom.